Welcome. I'm Danielle Sally.
And I'm Eva Fusa.
And you're listening to Ghost Boss, stories about the freelance afterlife. Hey, ghosties.
Hello.
Hello. Are we back to hello? I don't know.
Well,
I guess we've been on it for a while.
Well, I go on and off, and part of it is because I edit the episodes now, and I sound so nasally with my big hello, and I don't like it. Yeah, and I sound like Fran Drescher. And look, I know that I have an accent, and I'm in denial about that. And then I listen back, and I'm like, oh, I do have a little bit of an accent. It's not that bad. Just a little bit. It's not that bad. I mean, remember, half my family's from Arkansas. So, like, compared, right, like, we're doing great. But, like, I don't think I have, like a super thick accent. But then, like, if I do have an accent, it's fine if it sounds like I'm from the South, because I am from the South. But that weird nasally hello that I've been doing, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that's from. That's not Southern. What that is. And it's not from California either. I don't know.
I don't know. Where was Stresser? Oh, that was New York, right? You got a little New York in
right?
it?
Or no, I don't. Or like sometimes it sounds like Michigan. I'm like, what is happening?
You know what it is? It's kind of Midwest. Did you go out to Ohio for a day?
I haven't been to Ohio in a couple of years. It's funny. This reminds me of a conversation. I was somewhere with Whitney, and she said something, and they're like, "Are you from the Midwest?" She goes, "Absolutely not."
Were you with
together?
Us?
Yeah. We were at dinner.
I'm so memorable.
Yeah.
Oh, you were there?
No. Well, I couldn't remember. I was like, was there a group of people there? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was our New Year's get together. And the waiter was like, oh, where are you from?
That's right.
She had such a strong Midwest accent. She's like, oh, I'm right here in Columbia.
Yeah. So I also, if I'd been telling this story to Megan, I also would have been like, were you there? Like, it wasn't just, I couldn't remember where I was with
I love it.
So I don't know. I'll have to think of something for next season, because I don't like my real nasally. Hey, I don't like it.
We'll change it up for season 3. It'll be fine.
I don't know. I don't know if I want a more Southern sounding one. I don't think so. I'm good.
Do you? What?
No, I don't.
I don't. Y'all. I can't say y'all without sounding weird. Hey, I can't do it. Never mind.
I can, because I'm from Aiken. Don't you worry. But I don't know that I want that to be like my thing. The other day, I called for my dog to come in, and I was like, my God, I sound so podunk. What's happening? So, anyways.
Oh, man. So today, obviously what we just talked about has nothing to do with the topic.
No, I just checked, but I only rambled for 3 minutes this time. We're doing great. That's
pretty good. We're getting there. So today we're talking about the infamous problem that we all have as not just designers, all creatives, really. The feedback loop from hell, which is people constantly giving revisions after approval. Or my favorite, it's approved with these edits. Like, well, that's not actually an approval. I need to make the edits, and then you're going to look at them one more time, and then you're going to tell me if it's approved or not. That's my favorite one.
Do you make them? I make exception, not always, but I make exception sometimes. But do you ever make the edits and then go to production or say or whatever, or do you always make them approve it again, even if the edits were really straightforward?
I would say pretty much every time I have them look over it one more time, because I don't want to put anything out there with them being like, hey, I don't remember this. Well, you saw it.
I'd say 30% of the time I'll make edits and send it back. If they approve it that way, I'll make edits.
Yeah. Now there's sometimes like, I don't do a lot of social media, but I have some clients that I do. And sometimes if I have a very good relationship with them, I might go ahead and post things, and then they'll see it when it's on there, because we have that kind of relationship. But if it's anything, especially if it's print, they're going to look at it, and it's not going to a printer until they give me that final version 24 final approval.
I had a recent thing where like I sent something to, it was a banner, so it needed to be sent to print. And there was an email chain about like, it's got to go to print today. Please approve, blah, 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 blah. So they approved it and I sent it to the printer at like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I wake up the next day and somebody has added 6 people to this email chain at 2 a.m. and said, let Eva know any edits on this. And they had edits. Yep. So yeah, that was a thing. And then like, I'm apologizing to the printer, even though it's not my fault, but like, and the printer's like,
that's the thing, right? We're a lot of cases, we're the ones that have to talk to the printer and they're not happy when they have to just suddenly stop production. And you usually have to pay for that. And that's not nice.
Well, that's always, I'm like, invoice us. And also I'm so sorry. So sorry. I include revision numbers in my proofs mainly so I can keep track of them. But every now and then, like the client will be like, is this right? This is revision number 11. I was like, yes.
Sometimes I put it just to make a point. I mean, I pretty much always have a revision number in there just so I can keep track of everything.
Yes.
But I'm being serious when I put it in the revision in the subject line of the email. To be like, by the way, we're getting kind of lengthy on the amount of revisions. If we could just kind of consolidate everything to a couple of rounds, that'd be kind of helpful.
Yeah. I've had to, and I had to do this when I worked in-house. And so sometimes I've had to ask clients to do this for me. Sometimes it's not the volume of edits. Like sometimes that's fine. Sometimes the problem is that 4 people are sending them to you. And sometimes they're asking for the same edits, which is fine. Maybe they're asking for it in different ways, but like, it's still nice to have somebody to consolidate them so that, you're working off one document, not 4. But then sometimes like you're getting conflicting edits. And so I've had to go back and be like, hey, can y'all, I don't care. Because technically, like what y'all are asking, there is not technically like a right way to do this or a wrong way to do this. So I don't care. If you want my opinion on which one is better, I can give you that. But let me be clear. I do not care, but I do need y'all to get on the same page.
Oh, man. I had one where it was a multi-page document and there were all these edits. And I go through the edits from top to bottom because that's what made most sense logistically. So
how else would you do it?
And then, exactly. Eva, at the bottom, there was a comment that basically said, most of the stuff can just be deleted. We don't need it. So I wasted all that time making a bunch of edits that another person joined in and said, we don't need any of this content. If I would have just started there, at the bottom of the document.
That reminds me, did you ever do that exercise probably in like elementary school where they gave you like a handout?
I know what you're saying. Share the story.
You get the handout and like you see other kids start doing stuff and then you're like, but not everybody's doing stuff. And then it turns out like if you read through the entire thing, it tells you to like start at step 5 or something like that. And it's an exercise to like, encourage you to fully understand the scope. They don't call it a scope when you're 8 years old, but to fully understand your assignment on your project or whatever, to not just like jump right in. And so that's what that reminds me of. But like, I don't know that I've ever had that where stuff was like buried at the bottom. Like, what is that?
And I should have known better because that test where you read all the questions first, because I remember it very vividly. It was in 7th grade. We got the test, like we read through, and then one of the very first questions said, read all the questions thoroughly before going to the next step. And for mine, it was the very last one that said, put your pencil down. You're done. You don't have to complete anything else. And I told this story to my daughter recently, actually. And I told her, and I said, I was so proud of myself. And I think I remember it so vividly because I was so proud of myself because I was the only one in the entire 7th grade class that did it. It took a couple people they didn't take them too long. And then some of them went all the way down and were like, oh my God. Cause you had to like shout things out and do embarrassing things. And I was so proud of it. And then literally this year, my daughter came home. She's like, Mom, I got that test. I did it right because I read everything because of your story.
Yeah.
But it's just like that. So now I'm a little more cautious reading the edits where I'm like, did they sneak one in here at the very end that says I don't actually have to do all the comments left by person A because person B said I don't need to. But then it's like, well, should I check and confirm that person B just didn't see person A's edits? I don't know. So then I have to go back and check because I'll have it's at least one document with multiple people, but I don't know sometimes.
I hate now, and this is a really common thing, Google Docs, and people will just make the comments, and they can do it in Word too. The comments on the side. God, it's so annoying. Like, I get it. I understand, but like, it's clunky because it allows people. It's like a logistics problem. It's not actually like a fault of like how these work, but like it lets them do multiple things within one section, and then there's no clarity. And then like, then I need to like, maybe it's just because I don't use it a lot, but like I need to print like a clean document and I can't, or like I need 15 clicks to get their stuff in there. I'm just so annoyed. I'm just so annoyed by like how all of that works.
Well, and this is not a one client problem. Like this is a multiple clients that my revisions will be comments and things like that. And again, I have to go through and kind of clean things out. Nothing will stress me out more than Microsoft track changes. Yes. And I understand that the editors, I get it. Listen, I get it. I understand track changes is very helpful. As the designer, I don't really care what I just want your final content that needs to go in. If anything, what is helpful is color code, whatever the change was. Like this line changed. Super. Now I know everything in yellow is an actual change. I don't have to copy the whole document. But I really don't care if you change the formatting of a sentence or removed a comma or changed like the word "and" to something else. I just don't care. I just want to know if this is final, and I don't need to know the whole conversation of how you got there. But listen, I get it. I'm sure all the copywriters are like, we need our track changes.
Sure.
Fine. But I don't.
I don't need to see all the discussion that happened. And then it's just confusing for me sometimes. And I understand that like it's functional for other things, but by the time it gets to me, it's confusing to see all that kind of stuff.
I spend most of the time having to comb through and be like, okay, what are actual edits that I need to do?
Right.
Because sometimes half of them aren't even comments for me. They're just discussion points.
Right.
And which I understand, but then I'm like, I just want a document that only has what my edits are. Now, I love the people though. I love the clients that they'll provide that document, but then they're like, just so you know, you only have 2 edits in this entire thing. I'm providing you all the comments, but here's exactly what you need to change. And I love those people. Those are my project managers, and they're the best people ever.
I've never seen that.
I need more clients with fantastic project managers on their end. It's wonderful.
Why did they send you everything, though, if you only need to make 2 edits?
Just so I can see the exact change in there. But and truthfully, no, I probably didn't need it, but they just go ahead and make sure it's included.
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever had that where they gave me all the stuff, but they're like, you just need to do this and this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's helpful.
Maybe
I like
it just doesn't stand out. Yeah.
So what on all your projects, what do you think has been your highest revision number? On a final document.
I know I've easily made it to double digits. Easily.
Oh, easily, right? I've never made it to triples, thank goodness.
No. But typically, though, if I'm making it deep into double digits, I've started a new file. I don't know that I've made it past 14 or something like that without us like completely changing direction, because at that point it's not about like text edits or swap out this picture or whatever. Like if we're 14 rounds deep, something much bigger is happening. So I probably topped out in the teens somewhere and just started over would be my guess.
I think mine's probably about the same. And mine actually is usually those like tiny little copy edits that they didn't catch in the first round, or just like different eyeballs got on it and they have to make a little change. But I'd rather make a copy edit than have to change a layout, except for when it's like, oh, by the way, we forgot an entire paragraph to this 2-page document. So we just need to figure out how to squeeze that in there.
Yeah. I can't think of a time that I've made it up to like revision 20 something.
I think I have.
Now I have like started a project and then they wanted to see a couple different layout options. So there was brochure version 1, brochure version 2, brochure version 3. And each of those had probably 3 or 4 rounds of revisions. And then one of them ended up having like being the final. So then I'm probably like brochure version 2, revision 9. Right. So like in total, I was probably 20 rounds of edits with that. But like one project, like one file didn't have 20, I don't think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did have one project recently and it was one of those, we've talked about this before, there's no deadline. And I need a deadline. I need it. And I because I can self-impose a deadline and I'll do my best to stick to it. But if other work comes in front that has a hard deadline, that one gets pushed back. So the problem was it was for a branding project, and we've gone through, we're on our 4th round now, and which is fine. It's been fine. The problem is there's no deadline. So it's taken me, every time they send back a revision, it'll probably be a month before I get to it. And I finally, this last one, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. Because it was such a problem, Eva. I just kept pushing it back because other things that were coming up. And then that gets into an issue. But I don't know what's worse. That one I just feel bad about when I'm doing that. But I don't know what's worse, that or when there's a million revisions on an extremely hard deadline. And I'm like, okay, this got to go out the door. Has to go out the door.
I've been in situations like that where I've had to have talks with them about like, is it a mission critical edit? Like, is this an edit that fundamentally changes the design or the content or whatever? Like, is I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example that's not too specific because I don't want to call anybody out. But like, is it like Rutledge room 301? Right. Well, actually, that's not a great example because like I'm thinking like Rutledge building should be the name, but like technically you don't have to call it building because Rutledge is the name of the building. But if you're not familiar with the area, you may not know that. So adding building to it clarifies that it's a building. And then somebody may say to me, well, hey, I think building looks clunky. They should know that technically you don't have to call it building. And then it's like, okay, like I understand what you're saying. And like, also like, I do think it's clarifying. However, it's not going to like be wrong if I keep that. Right. And I know that stuff sounds minor, but like when you're like on a deadline, like all of a sudden 15 things like that, like it does take time. Right. Like, so yeah, I've had to have some conversations about, all right, so like now we're going to pay a rush fee or we're just going to let it go. Which one is it? And if it's wrong, it doesn't make sense. It's incorrect. This is grammatically not accurate. The logos or whatever. Sure, we'll fix that. But then it gets down to, are you making wish list edits? Like, in the 11th hour? That's the phrase, right? The 11th hour? Is that 12th hour? Is it the 11th hour? 23rd? I don't know. Are we on military
time? I thought it was 11th.
Is it? Hold on. Let me clickety clack this. I think it's 11th hour.
So satisfying. The clickety.
Can you type harder? No. 11th hour. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So are we talking about wish list edits now in the 11th hour? And if so, like, if that's important for somebody's going to die on that hill. All right. But like, now we've missed our production deadline.
Yeah.
And everything can still be met with enough money. So it just becomes a conversation of how important is this edit?
I do remember my agency days where we'd be putting together proposals for an RFP. And that was always the most high stress because it was taking away from client work, but you had like for some reason the RFPs always had like the hardest deadlines to make. And it's just so much content that goes into them. Mm-hmm. And I won't name names, but even if they listen, but there's always a couple people that waited till that 11th hour to give everything a review. Mm-hmm. And they'd wait till that 11th hour to give you so many edits after. And like the designers always hate the proposals, right? Because we're the ones working till 1 a.m. every night to get them done. Mm-hmm. And so when I would wake up the next day and I'd see these edits, and I'm like, where have you been?
Right.
Where have you been all this time?
Right.
I'm like, you've been around. You've been on the emails. Oh, man, that's what I get. And I know people get busy and whatnot. But in the moment, my Aries rage would just take off. And I'll be like, there's no excuse for this. I got to get away from the mic when I'm shouting and spitting at it.
I find too, I work with a lot of salespeople, and when they're working on like sales pitches and sales decks, that's challenging too. Because like sometimes I'm getting edits at 1 a.m. and they're in a hotel room, and like part of me is frustrated that I didn't get the edit sooner. But I was like, well, he had to fly to Denver today, and he's just now got there because he had 2 delays in Chicago. And he just got to the hotel room, Eva, and he is tired. And he's also irritated that he's realized that he needs these things. So sometimes I get it. Sometimes I'm like, you just didn't read this in time. But sometimes I'm like, all right. I
know. I am bad about like in the moment, just getting full of rage. And then I'll calm down and be like, you know what? I'm sure they are just as frustrated that they even found an edit. So
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
It depends.
All right. So what I'm curious about, we both said we probably topped out at 14 revisions. Ish. I want to know from our listeners what their highest final revision number was. I'm just so curious. Like, who's going to win? I have no prize for you, but we'll give you a shout out on the podcast. That's all I can offer.
I'll have to look too. I'm going to have to verify that 14-ish is kind of I don't ever remember getting into the 20s with my revisions, but I don't know. I'll look. So I'll update. We'll update on Instagram if I find a file higher than that. But yeah. Well, I'd love to hear it. Tell me about your terrible project that had 108 revisions on it. I want to hear.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. And next week will be our final episode of season 2. So make sure you catch up on all of our episodes before next week.
Yep. Talk to y'all then.
Bye.
Remember to follow us on Instagram at Ghost Boss Podcast. And also please like and review us on your favorite podcast app.